Virgo, this is your week ahead astrology forecast from Astrology Motivation by Born Without Boundaries. My name is Michelle, guys, and in this video, I am going to go through the major planetary aspects and transits for the week of March 31st to April 6th, all in relationship to Virgo suns. So your sun placement in Virgo is going to determine how the other planets are impacting it, because it's based on the angles between your natal sun and those current positions of those planets. And those angles in astrology we call aspects. If there are any major transits, I'm going to talk about those too. We're going to start very broad about those transits or things that are happening that are going to affect everybody, and of course you're included in that. And then we're going to narrow it down to all Virgos, the things that are going to specifically impact Virgos, or not just specifically, but mostly impact you, that they'll have a special impact on you. And then I will break down more specifically into three groups of Virgos, a Virgo 1, 2, and 3, based on decan 1, 2, and 3. A decan is a group of 10 degrees. And of course, each zodiac sign is a total of 30 degrees. So Virgo is broken down into 3 decans, just like all of the zodiac signs. So if your natal sun is between 0 and 9 or 10 degrees Virgo, you are Virgo 1, because your natal sun falls in the first decan of Virgo. If your natal sun falls between, say, 9 and 19 degrees or 10 and 20 degrees Virgo, you are decan 2, because your natal sun falls in the second decan of Virgo. And if your natal sun is between 19 and 29 degrees Virgo, you are decan 3, because your natal sun is falling in the third decan of Virgo. Why does this matter? It matters especially around the edges, because like I said, the entire Virgo, each zodiac sign has 30 degrees. And if you're born in the first decan, that means you have a significantly different angle to a planet than those born in the third decan. And it definitely impacts the energy that you're experiencing, or your experience with that energy each week. So we're going to go through specifically how those energies are going to impact the position of your natal sun. And I choose the natal sun instead of the ascendant and instead of the moon, because your natal sun really does impact the broad strokes of your entire life. So it will have an impact on you, especially through your heart space, in every different area of your life. So let's start really broad. What is happening this week? Well, first and foremost, we have a full moon. And yeah, I got my little book, guys. I never come without my book. I don't. And I'm going to run through the full moon and what it means. So the full moon on April 6th. It's April 6th if you're basically east coast of the United States and into Europe, because early, like 12:34 Eastern Standard Time. So that's New York, USA. 12:34 a.m. So for most of the U.S., it's actually still going to be April 5th when the moon is at its fullest point. So April 5th, 6th, depending on where you are on the globe, is going to be this full moon. And the full moon is in the zodiac sign of Libra, which makes sense because the sun is currently in Aries. And a full moon is always in the directly opposite sign, which is how it becomes full. There's a full illumination because it's directly opposite the sun, and why so many eclipses can happen when the earth gets in the way. Anyway, that's sort of basic astronomy. But in terms of the astrology, you have this full moon in Libra that's happening April 5th, 6th. And it's dynamic because it is, yes, always, full moons are always in opposition to the sun, but this sun is conjunct Chiron and conjunct Jupiter. So that's significant. Just for everybody, because sun conjunct Chiron is all about finding purpose because of the pain that you've suffered. And that's usually has to do with teaching others or making sure others don't suffer the same pain you do. But you could, like, that's the hero route, right? But you can also go the villain route, and you can also go, well, I suffered, so everybody else has to suffer. You know, conjunctions are neither good nor bad. They're just how you use the energy. And the sun is your life purpose and your courage and your idealism. And Chiron is about learning through pain and suffering. So how does that pain and suffering that you've experienced, how has it driven your life purpose? And which direction has it driven you in? And is it good or bad? Is it something that you're proud of, or is it something that you kind of need to like look at a little bit objectively and think, wow, what have I let this done to me? Or what have I let this, do to me? How has it impacted me? Has it made me a better version of myself or a worse version of myself? And as Pluto squares both nodes, all humanity is being asked that question. Have we become the better version of ourselves? Have we used ideals to drive us toward fear and destruction, or have we used our ideals to drive us toward optimism and productivity and compassion? And it's just always our choice. Fate and free will dance together like a double helix all the time. So it really is, how have we used personally, how have we used the experiences in our life to make us the best version of ourselves as we turn this corner, directing us more toward the North Node. Saturn is sextile to the North Node, which means there's opportunities now, aligned now, to set up our new structure for the future. And Saturn is trying to the South Node to say, hey, we're in harmony we understand our talents, our skills, and where we come from. But how are we going to apply them? How are we going to use them? Are we using it diabolically, or are we using it compassionately? Those really are, something just happened outside. Those really are our choices and decisions that we have to make. And so this full moon is asking us that question, that sense of, because the sun is our heart space, our light, and it's going to be conjunct Chiron. How have we used our pain and our suffering to motivate us and inspire our purpose in life? And that's very important now, because the sun is also conjunct Jupiter, and Jupiter expands and makes everything bigger. So it's going to put it on blast, and it's going to make it very obvious and hard to miss of whether have you become the arch villain or have you become the hero. To sort of break it down into archetypes, this sense of, have you used your experiences, especially your pain and suffering, to turn you into a more compassionate person, or have you used it or let it use you to turn you into a more bitter person who doesn't care if other people suffer and hurt as well? It's really going to put us on blast, and this full moon is offering us the chance to get rid of the toxicity, to get rid of it and find balance. Since the full moon is in Libra, it wants to balance these two ideals out. It wants to balance these two extremes out. It wants to find an equilibrium. So that's going to impact us all. It's a very, I think, impactful full moon. Another thing that's going to happen is, and at the very end of this week, but still it's impacting us all, is Venus is conjuncting Uranus. And I love when planets conjunct Uranus, because Uranus can be very tricky. It's a little trickster. It's kind of like Uranus likes to surprise people, catch them off guard. It never likes to be predictable, right? It likes to think outside of the box, or not even acknowledge that the box is there. But when it conjuncts another planet, it kind of exposes where the surprises are going to come from. And in conjunction to Venus, the surprises come from who you're attracted to, why you're attracted to things in your relationship because of that attraction, spicing things up, rebellion within those relationships, but also within finance, within your financial situation, surprises within your financial situation. Could be happy surprises, could be horrible surprises. We don't know, but at least we know where the surprises are going to come. So that's an FYI. And I did mention that this week there is this really wonderful pattern in the sky that forms what I like to call the bow and arrow. It's between the North Node, that's where the arrow will be released, and the South Node, which is where the bow is pulled back. And then we have a sextile between the North Node. You have a sextile between Saturn and between Mars. Yep. And then there's the trine between Mars and Saturn. So we really are being pushed toward, this is going to be where we're headed. Like, how are we going to choose to focus all the talents and skills that we've become very comfortable with, and where are we going to point that? Where are we going to direct that? How are we going to use that? And it really is going to determine the next chapter of our life. So it's kind of like the time of big choices, if I can summarize it. So what's going to impact you that impacts everybody is that Mercury is about to transit from Aries into Taurus. And that will happen on Monday, April 3rd. And this is a change for you in terms of you guys, because Mercury is your ruling dignitary. When Mercury goes into Taurus, you actually become a lot more comfortable. There is a sense of stability and focus on the stability. I wouldn't be surprised if your communications became slower and more focused, and definitely more respectful, and communicating in more traditional ways. So maybe more emails, less text messages and DMs. At this point, email is more traditional than those. Maybe more letters or official written documentation, or actually reading through books or old books that you have to go through, or just wanting to hold something in your hand as you look through it. More traditional ways of communication, and that's kind of what you're going to want to crave. And you're also going to be more receptive and more positively responsive to people talking to you with a lot of dignity, with a lot of respect, because that is Mercury and Taurus. This sense of, you could get more stubborn, definitely, absolutely, because there's a sense of closed-mindedness about Taurus, but it's also a sense of not necessarily closed-mindedness. It may come off that way, but I want to focus on the things that are going to keep us stable. It's not about moving forward or making progress. It's how do we get this done, and how do we ensure that it's done in a correct fashion, and we don't throw it together. We do it in a high quality way. Taurus is all about high quality, and that will definitely impact you as Mercury moves in. So traditional, high quality, stability, and actually a sense of certainty and security that you definitely would not have felt when Mercury was in Aries. Let's go into the decans. So Decan 1 for Virgo, how is all of this impacting you specifically, or how are other planets impacting you? You're actually in a really nice position this week, because like big things aren't necessarily happening, but Virgo 1s, so those of you born basically August Virgos, essentially, that's usually the Virgo 1 zone. You're going to be trying to Mercury, or your natal sun will be trying to Mercury by the 4th, or definitely by April 2nd, but definitely as Mercury transits into Taurus. Now Mercury is conjunct the North Node, which means your suns at that point, and your natal suns are also have been conjunct the North Node. So your natal suns are not conjunct the North Node. Your natal suns are trine to the North Node. So if you have been kind of happy or feeling at peace or feeling focused on stabilizing things for the future, now you know why. It's really because your natal sun is trine the North Node. Mercury will conjunct the North Node, and so it'll make your mind even sharper and more focused, and you'll have even more clear understanding and information in order to execute future plans, or plans for like what you want in the future, and sort of information coming in, or discovering, researching stuff that almost supports the direction that you've already decided to go in. Whether or not that's good or bad, I cannot guarantee, but there's certainly a harmony there of you really settling into, this is who I am, and this is what I want, and this is where I want to put my mind. Your natal suns are also going to be square your sextile to Mars, which is fantastic. To have your natal sun sextile to Mars means get things done, find opportunity, maybe opportunity to be more physical or feel comfortable putting yourself out there, not being confrontational, but being more cardinal in that you take initiative more. And definitely taking initiative for you will actually open up opportunities for you right now. So consider that. It's definitely a time when you'll have the confidence to do so. Your natal suns are also in opposition to Saturn, because Saturn is in the first decan of Pisces, and you're in a natural opposition to that. What does that mean? It means that laws, rules, and regulations you're not really fond of them right now, or they surprise you, or maybe you're surprising yourself with not really agreeing with the things that you used to agree with in terms of authority figures. You could be clashing with, or honestly, in this atmosphere, you could be conflicted because you're seeing more of yourself in specific, especially personal authority figures, and you don't like it, or it's surprising you. So there can be those personal sort of upheavals when you recognize it and realize it, and it comes to light, which actually may be driving your Mercury conjunct North Node trine to say, okay, this is not what I want. It's getting clear to me what is important to me, and it's definitely not what this is showing me. These clashes or conflicts are showing me. So it could actually be guiding you in some way, but definitely with an opposition, it won't rest. It's like constant paperwork, constant obligations, constant contracts, constant authority, dealing with law constantly. It could eventually end up very productive, but it could feel very constant right now. Now Saturn will be in the first decan of Pisces basically all year. So there's something that's going on this whole year when it comes to legalities, laws, obligations, and authority figures that hopefully will help you grow, but is definitely going to offer a pattern of challenge throughout the year. FYI. Virgo 2s. Virgo 2s, you guys are trying to Uranus. You have been for a while, and you will be for a while, which is all about unexpected and all about unexpected surprises. And since Uranus is in Taurus, unexpected surprises when it comes to your finances, your family traditions, what you've always done, even your religious beliefs. Just all of a sudden, maybe feeling like you want to rebel, or feeling comfortable with change to those dynamics in your life. But Venus is conjunct Uranus right now, and that's going to really, like I said in the beginning of the video, be very specific to your romantic relationships or your finances, of how I want to spend money, what I value, and where do I want to put my money because my values are changing, or who am I attracted to because my values are changing. If you've gotten stale or stagnant in your relationship, you could feel the temptation to kick it up a notch and do some things you normally wouldn't do. Whatever that is, you get to choose, but you're trying to it. Your natal sun is trying to it. So it's saying you're not going to have a conflict doing it. It's not going to challenge you. You're going to be very, very happy to try these different things. There's going to be a sense of, this could actually help out about you. There could be a sense of, we may have to do this to put ourselves back into a harmonious state. So let's try these new things. So I don't know. You let me know. So until Sunday, Venus, that focus on those Venus subject matters are going to be front and center, and then she'll pass into the third decan and not be such a I don't know if it's a bother. It could be a whole heck of a lot of fun. It is a trine, so it's going to go over smoothly. You guys are also quincunx to the Sun, Chiron, Jupiter conjunction during the full moon. And quincunx is a frustrating aspect, an aspect sort of stubbornness, and you could butt heads a little bit with it. So this sense of recognizing or realizing which direction you've been expanding into. You may not like it, and it may force you to, okay, well, what can you learn and what do you need to change? There could also be a sense of things happening too quickly, right? And a feeling of too much too soon, which is something that, can get very uncomfortable for you. Quincunx, much like squares or semi-squares, if you confront them and you face them and you accept the challenge and learn from it, it'll actually turn into something actually very beautiful that will help you become a better version of yourself. FYI. And those of you who are born in Virgo 3. Okay, Virgo 3, by Sunday, your natal suns are going to be trine to Venus as Venus transits from decan 2 in Taurus to decan 3 in Taurus. So it will be by Sunday, the earliest of you in decan 3 will be trine to Venus, which is harmony and peace or equilibrium when it comes to financials or how your value systems and getting value or bang for your buck and feeling good about your relationship and feeling good about how you're being appreciated within your relationship. So there's tranquility there, and that's a really nice gift. You guys your natal suns are in opposition to Neptune and have been for quite some time. I think at this point, the fogginess is something that you're used to and maybe even have learned to adjust to, but there could be persistent health issues, questioning of your faith. The health issues would be with mucus in the body, and questioning your faith would be, and questioning your faith would be more just about like, well, do I really believe what I used to believe, and is my faith changing, or just getting new ideas slipping into your head and saying, okay, I'm interested in this. If you take everything sort of objectively and say, okay, what is happening, what's going on, and how can I learn more, could be a very exciting time for you. But Neptune could also just make things more foggy and less easy to understand. So in important matters, I would suggest that you definitely get counsel, especially professional matters. Consult an accountant, before you put your life savings into that dream home. Definitely get a contractor to inspect it for you. That kind of thing, like just always consult. And you guys are responsible that way anyway. But Neptune can be very deceptive and very illusionary and make even you guys do things from a dream state that you normally would not do. Now, concerning the dream state, if you're dreaming more, that's why. Because Neptune is constantly activating your sun, and your sun is working with Neptune to constantly activate your brain and try to talk to you. So more dreams are definitely likely throughout this opposition, and it will last a long time because Neptune is not doesn't move fast. So ultimately, you guys are probably becoming much more psychic and learning how to use your psychic abilities and fine-tune them. Like, act like this is almost like a training course for you in your psychic abilities. Use these as opportunities instead of distractions. That would be my suggestion. For years, Neptune is going to be in the third, be in opposition to your natal suns, FYI. So we have also conjunction to the moon on the 4th. So Tuesday the 4th is 2 days before the full moon, day and a half. And it is in direct opposition to Neptune. So that's really interesting. When the moon is in opposition to Neptune, there is conflict between the fantastical fantasy fairy tale world and our emotional reality, which is what we're experiencing when the moon is in Virgo. So there is a sense of being forced to wake up to uncomfortable reality, or a break in the dream that is probably going to come through becoming worried about something, or even becoming paranoid about something. That is just a cue that I got to get more information on this, and something isn't going the way Neptune is making it look like it's going. There's a little delusion or deception going on here, and so maybe being pragmatic and being realistic is going to help me work through this a little bit. So be very aware of that feeling on the 4th, that feeling of this is worrying me, I don't feel right about this. Maybe I need more information, or I need to consult somebody on the outside that I trust. Definitely listen to that emotion on that day. This is all happening while trine to Pluto and trine to Uranus. So it's definitely inspiring you to change, to change, and these changes might surprise you because Uranus is involved as well. FYI. I love you guys so much, and I hope you've appreciated it and somehow this has helped you. Feel free to leave your comments below, Virgo. I would love to know. Please remember to subscribe to this channel if you love these videos, and give this video a thumbs up. And definitely come along with me over on Born Without Boundaries to listen to your Virgo week ahead tarot card reading. I'll see you guys there. Bye.